This is the meeting of the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission, Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. We are meeting in the Nat U. Hill meeting room of the Monroe County Courthouse, and we have people attending via Zoom.
I really, you sound like you're not on here. You sound like you're not on the mic.
I've got a
I know
green
you
light.
are, but it's not processing.
I will try and be more careful in my diction.
No, it has to do with how the sound is.
Yeah.
That device is not working as well as it
Okay.
should be.
Jeff, would you call the
Sorry.
roll, please?
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Present.
Commissioner McCarty,
Present.
Commissioner Shelton.
Present.
And we'll note in the record that Commissioner Shelton is present via Zoom.
Okay. All right. You said Lisa is stuck in traffic?
Lisa is out of the office this week.
Okay, so she's not going to be here today.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want to have an update then on the Fullerton Pike financing, or do we delay that for her, or?
I think I can give the update on the Fulton Pike financing and probably same time maybe go over the West Side cash flow because they're
That's fine.
fairly related. Fulton Pike financing, and this is for the Major Bridge Fund plus the Fullerton Pike TIF. We introduced that concept to the county council at I believe it was their March work session. Or it might have been their March work session. On the 25th, Greg is giving a presentation for, he does the sustainability report for the county. So I indicated to the county council that that would be a good time to ask questions if they have that. Otherwise, we're going to begin moving forward fairly quickly. I've requested a timeline from the bond council, and I'll forward that to you guys as it comes to me. I think Lisa indicated that she had moved the letting date, I think, from August to either October or November, so there's a little bit more time there if we need it. And so that's kind of the update. I think the Redevelopment Commission's portion of that would be to pledge TIF revenue towards that bond. I think the Major Bridge Fund would be more of the heavy lifter when it comes to the interest rate and those kind of ideas.
So while it's a project of vital importance to us, we are not the heavy lifters in getting it done.
Well, the Major Bridge Fund is a much bigger, more funds flow through it than the Fulton Pike.
Complicated too.
It's good to hear that you got some support for it.
Yes. And so now I forwarded a cash flow from Financial Solutions Group that breaks down the next 2 years worth of cash and how it's expected to be spent. I will say that today we received the invoice from Mr. Kreider, which I believe will reduce that $799,000 figure in beginning balance of Fund 4520 by roughly $267,000.
How much?
It would reduce the just short of $800,000, about $267,000, and that would be the final payment for the Profile Parkway extension. So that we just got that today. It's not reflected in this. Either way, I met with Lisa last week because even if that wasn't the case, we're both fairly uncomfortable with only having a $350,000 balance at any point in time, let alone at the end of the second quarter or second half of this year, beginning of next year. So if the bids come in as estimated, I think the recommendation for this group would be let's put off the Vernal Pike Trail for probably a couple of years and manage the cash flow that way. There's too much federal funding with the Vernal Pike Connector Road to move that.
So Jeff, how much will the final balance be reduced by?
$267,000 for the first thing, and the Vernal Pike Trail is estimated to be just under $2 million. Lisa wants to look at that because she thinks there may be some cost savings with that as well.
Okay, good.
but these numbers were a little too close for comfort, I think, for both of us, and that our recommendation, if it plays out this way, would be, let's just do the Vernal Pike Trail in a few years, maybe as something else to keep in mind with that in a few years. Lisa is going to get us some information about possibly redoing Curry Pike. And so that is probably another fairly expensive project that she wants that she will want looked at. The Curry Pike Road is already in the plan, and then it's going to be a debate as to and then we've had this debate for 10 years, Lisa and I, is reconstruction maintenance or is it capital? And I believe she has guidance from the state that it's capital, in which case it would be eligible for a TIF funding, but if it's maintenance, it's not. So that's kind of a debate that will occur, at least internally, and we'll explain the results of why we came to it when we get there.
So, Jeff, what section of Curry Pike are you looking at?
I think she is going to try to figure out, to stage it so that it's pretty much mostly all done within the district. So I think it was built a while ago and it needs worked on.
Yeah.
They tend to do that, don't they? So we are, then that $800,000, which is up there, we've now gotten the last invoice against that money then?
Yes.
Okay. And we've got roughly $257,000 of that remaining. Is that correct?
The invoice is going to be for 267, so
Okay.
you'll have about 520, 530
Okay.
remaining
All right. So that would, if I just rough estimate this, then we're down to less than $100,000 at the end of
there. 2023.
2023. Yep, pretty close.
Okay.
Okay. This then requires us to notify our friends at the fire department in Ellettsville that we're not going to be able to support that this year? Is that
Well, I
our
think that's
summary here, or do we want to say, do we want to do this again and have one that doesn't have the Vernal Pike Trail on it so that it shows like we got money and we could go forward with that project?
I think that what you would do is kind of, they're 55,000 in my mind, even if we're not going to be real comfortable with a balance under close to $1 million.
Right.
You know, so I don't think that 55,000 is going to make a determinate decision on whether to go forward with the trail project or not.
Right.
Right.
So I guess in my mind, I think that would almost free up the funding. I think we redo this sheet to reflect that,
Right.
Yeah.
but that would be kind of, even as is with this, then with 80,000, you know, if you took that off, then that end of the year would look closer to 2 million. And I think in that case, I think that size of an expense would be justifiable. Looking at this, I am not
Yeah.
optimistic that trail project is in the cards for this
Yeah,
year.
Yeah, I think but I don't think we want to make a decision when we don't have something on paper that supports it.
Yes.
So we want to make sure we redo this to reflect essentially that we're going to defer the Vernal Pike Trail to some date that we don't know yet. It looks like it might have to go a couple years out. And that will give us a big enough balance at the end of this year that we could go ahead and commit to the fire department in Ellettsville for their capital project.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable conclusion.
Okay, all right.
Good.
Any other questions about that for people? All right. Okay, I think we got that taken care of then. Did you have anything on the TIF residential I do have a couple of things I wanted to mention.
Well, we talked about this last month, about having a meeting at the fire station in Ellettsville.
Jeff, move your mic over, maybe that'll work to
Yep.
you, towards me. There you go. There you go.
We,
That's better.
at the last meeting, we discussed having a meeting at the fire station and inviting the neighborhoods around where we're looking for a residential TIF to have that. The fire station, I believe, is open either next month or, and probably, he said he could be really flexible in that he wants to help with this as well.
Good.
So I think we could do that. I'm kind of curious, do you want to shoot for May or June? And the only other action item I think we have before July would be resolutions indicating whether there is excess assessed value in the TIF districts. And that could happen at either one of those meetings. It just needs to be done by the end of June.
Okay.
And that,
Are you thinking of this as just a change of venue for our regular meeting or a supplemental meeting?
I was thinking of it as a change of venue, but I think it's your guys' call and decision.
I think just a change of venue for the meeting sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, I think
Meeting
that-
over
yeah.
there.
I think it'll be a little easier. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we've got the date and the time, so just change the venue. I'm fine with that.
So we want to go
Same
for
here.
Okay, Jim says yes.
May. So this would be the third Wednesday in May. You want to check on
Thursday, 18th
availability?
Or something?
I think the,
And we'd have to do some notification of the venue change too.
You know, we would just renotice the meeting and put notice that this one has been moved.
In that regard, I got an email referral from the planning department from a property owner who has a little over 11 acres that the planning department thought would be within our candidate TIF, residential TIF area.
Okay.
And he reached out to me and wanted to know what the TIF was about, et cetera, et cetera. So I will correspond with him,
Okay.
give him some brief information and say that we're going to have a meeting in May at the fire station there that he could come to get more information and we could discuss it further. That sound good?
Sounds good to me. I guess,
Sounds good.
do you guys want me to get some big maps to put on the wall? I mean, how do you, I'll
Yeah,
see what
we
kind
should-
of technology
we should
they
have
have.
that kind of thing available. It would also be a good idea if we got some numbers regarding the amount of loss to the 46 TIF that will occur when we take those properties out of it. We know there's no AV to start, there's an assessed value to start with in the other one, but there's no increase in the assessed value. But we are going to lose revenue on the 46 TIF when we do this. So we should have some idea how much that is.
That shouldn't be that difficult.
and do we want to have anybody there from planning at this meeting? Or
Yeah, we
how
might
do
want to
you-
see if we can get somebody from planning to
yeah,
attend.
Jackie or somebody.
Did we ever get any feedback from them on the request that we had made for changing designations?
I've not heard any feedback.
Okay. Let me make a note to check. Okay, I will make a note to contact Jackie about that. Okay. Anything else on those? All right, so you're gonna contact the fire station,
Mhm.
verify availability, deal with any noticing we've got. Can you contact planning?
Yes.
About maps and someone to be there to do their magic if necessary. I think that should be ready to go then.
And I will try to put together a mailer to
Okay.
to the property owners.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, at least the ones that are the highest probability of being impacted by it. Okay. All right. Concludes that discussion. Next, we have the minutes from our previous meeting.
Please note the year is wrong.
So these are the minutes of the meeting of March 23rd, which was our annual report presentations. And that was mostly it.
Actually, the ones in the packet are, the reason the year's
What?
wrong is
What'd
it's
you
the wrong
say?
year's minutes.
Huh?
What'd you say, Jeff?
The reason the year is wrong is these are 2022
They
minutes.
are 22 minutes.
They're the wrong year?
Yes.
Okay.
So apparently when I printed it off, the wrong one popped up, so.
Let's go back in time.
Interesting that we did about the same thing
As a matter
last
of
year.
fact,
Yeah.
There's a couple of things in here that must be wrong.
Yeah, so,
It must be last year's.
Well, that's when I came and I saw this claims thing. I said, wait,
yeah, so that's how, that's
I
what
don't
I learned,
remember
Randy.
doing that.
Do you want me to just run down and print out the correct minutes and bring them up?
Well, we won't have time to review them. We'll just do them both at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I apologize.
I'll let you know, didn't I? I thought I texted you about it.
I didn't see
You
one.
probably weren't around.
Okay. All right, next. What got me was the claims amount in here.
Yeah.
Almost the same as our claims amount today.
The claims were,
Wait a minute, this is
Right.
strange.
We didn't do claims last month, so.
No.
no, we didn't.
Okay. We have a group of claims numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in number for a variety of projects. One has to do with our condemnation suit on the Vernal Pike connector. Then there is engineering work on the Vernal Pike connector and some design work on the Vernal Pike path, as well as inspections of the new roundabout located out there. In a total amount of $50,373.03. Any comments from you, Jeff, on these, or? I mean, they look pretty self-explanatory to me when I went through them. Although I couldn't figure out why we had so many copies of the $621 invoice.
Of which one?
Oh, the attorney.
It seems to be in here at least twice, maybe 3 times. Did you indicate that Randy is here now?
Yes.
Just in time to sign off on claims.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to.
Showed up in time to spend money.
Excuse me.
What's the status on this condemnation suit at this point? Are we still dickering or?
Well, we've got 2 that we're still dickering with. One is, and one we may not still be. We met with our attorneys, and they were having a meeting with the other party later that day to see if there can't be some kind of resolution. I think we were really close. I mean, I think we'll get to a resolution, if we haven't already, in the short term.
Okay.
The other one is the high tink one, which came in $2 million over our
Right.
estimates, and so we're we're really looking at those. I think we've scheduled that for mediation in end of July
Okay.
to mediate that case and try to see if we can get a resolution there.
But we've done everything we need to get, we've got access to the property we needed.
Yes.
Everything else isn't done. Okay. All right. And so next month, we'll see that claim from Kreider then?
Absolutely.
All right.
They did get it in.
Came in today.
All right. And do we have anything else coming in on the roundabouts over there? Is this inspection the final, do you think?
I would have to ask Lisa. I would think that we've got to be getting close.
Yeah. I can tell you that it seems to be working really well every time I've been through it, and flow there is much better than it used to be, like orders of magnitude.
Yes.
I hesitate to give any kind of final answer because of the recent claim we received.
Yep. Okay, do I have a motion to approve these claims in the amount of $50,373.03?
So moved.
I move approval of the claims
Second.
in the amount of $50,373.03.
All right. Jim moved, Colin second.
Or Ira seconded, so.
There a second.
Either one.
Somebody,
Either one.
there were
Yeah.
two, everybody was there, so
Yes,
we
everybody
got it
seconded.
together. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelton.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 5-0.
Okay. Let's see, what else have we got? Staff comment.
I would just reiterate what I said earlier, is that next Tuesday, the 25th, Financial Solutions Group is going to be at the county council meeting. A topic that probably will come up would have to do with the major bridge / TIF bond for the completion of Fullerton Pike. So I just kind of want to make sure that's on your radar.
Do you need any support there?
I don't know if we'll need it at that meeting, but we'll know, should know after that meeting whether we'll need it for when they actually have action items.
Right, okay.
When will it be on the agenda?
My hope is to have, once I get the timeline, I'll know for certain, but I would hope to have it on an agenda for the council in May, and then probably have it at your agenda either May or June, depending on, I don't think there's a order of which which you guys need to act. But I would like, I think the county council should hear it first, and then the commissioners should, and you guys should hear it.
Right, okay. Do they have any, are there any other major projects on that bridge fund at this point?
Not, there's another one that they're exploring, but that is not for next year or the year after.
Okay, all right. All right. I think that's all the comments there. Did you want to say anything?
No, I have no comments.
Okay. It's always good.
And I will note for the record that Commissioner Tucker's here.
Perfect time.
Of course,
On time. For comments.
we're on. We just passed a lot of money.
All right, we are down to commissioners' comments. Iris, did you have anything you wanted to add this evening?
I don't think have very much, except I've been watching all the TIF discussions in the county and the city, and it bothers me a little bit.
Let's see,
That
that's-
may interfere with some of the stuff we want to do. I don't know to what extent the people in the city are aware of some of the issues, things we want to do with TIF, residential TIF fund. That I think we need to communicate with them on that.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I have. Jeff, this is.
Yeah, no, one of the things that the city did was to do this massive TIF district consolidation
Right.
thing, which kind of blurred the lines between what projects were getting prioritized when, based upon geography
I know you were.
of the city. And the one thing I like about the way we've got it structured right now is that we've got these fairly distinct boundaries, which do have very different characteristics that allow us to at least talk with the commissioners and the council in more intelligent ways about what our goals are in each of those areas. So, but I have no idea what's going to happen after the election in terms of what the city's going to do or not do, or
I know, but I'm seeing us sort of going like this and kind of coming that way. And I don't hear the city talking about that the county is looking at a residential TIF, which would be maybe more affordable, but
yeah. Well, I got my tax bills came out this week,
I
right?
know.
And when you look at your tax bill, you wonder, wait a minute.
Mine is not bad.
We had one of them go up quite a bit. Wait a minute.
Yeah, a lot of people have
Sure
that
looks the same
assessment.
today as it did yesterday.
Yeah, I had
Apparently not.
several people complain to me that their assessments had gone up. This was not the tax bill, but when we got
Right.
our property tax
Yeah.
assessments, which was a couple months ago. And now we got the bill.
Well, the difference between the tax rates in the city and the county seems to be increasing in terms of the difference between them. And now that could be because the county assessed value is growing faster. So we are distributing the tax
That's-
over a larger
Right.
base. But it's certainly not clear how all that's shaping out. Maybe next time Charlie comes down, we'll ask
Who
him
knows?
about that.
Or Judy might have a pretty good.
Judy might have a pretty good idea too as to what's going on there.
I'd like to hear from her sometime, maybe.
Yeah. But the difference is large enough. That was one of the things why I wanted to see how much impact pulling out those residential areas from that TIF was going to have on the funding for that TIF, because there are some pretty significant parcels that we would
That's right.
have to pull out because of the way that they would be discontinuous otherwise. Yeah. So, okay. All right. That was, Tucker, any comments?
No, I was just curious. I mean, sorry, I missed that first. Did you guys meet neighborhood already?
No, we're going to meet with them hopefully at our May meeting at the Ellisville Fire Station.
Yeah. We'll do that in May. Yeah, we'll do that in May. So we've got to make sure we've got availability of the space, and then we'll do a notice, and he's going to try and get some mailings out so that we've got people notified that we want to talk about it at that time, at that meeting.
Probably more like a postcard or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to work with the assessor and treasurers who send out mass mailings, see who they use. There may be a little bit of expense to that, just FYI.
Yes.
So that may come up.
Mail is not without cost.
Yeah, so that may come up at a future meeting.
Okay, Colin, anything from you?
But yeah, I think just, I guess for my sake, I'd like to see maybe a draft agenda, maybe midway between then and now for this meeting. Just, I just, you know, when we have a public invite type meeting, I guess you'd call it, at the fire station, I think, on this issue, just so we have a good idea of what we're, I think we know what we're talking about, but just kind of put it down. When we see it on paper, when I see it on paper, yeah, it's very helpful to give me an idea of what, what questions may come, and you know, who knows how deep people will get in their questions. I don't know.
Exactly.
So that's just a thought. That we could do it offline electronically, that kind of thing. Just get a sense. That's my.
Well, I guess maybe that was a question. I guess we'll have this meeting, and I would think that one of the big questions is going to be infrastructural related. What are, you know, where your roadways are going to go, and I don't know if we've mapped that out tremendously. So maybe a discussion on the process and maybe get information from them on whether they'd want to participate in looking at those kind of infrastructure ideas of where that would go or not if it were to occur.
Sure.
Well, we do have, there was a conceptual map that Jackie had early on, which had some road extensions that were essentially extensions of existing stubs into various areas. And then we've got the thoroughfare plan that was part of the North Park thing, which talks about how we might develop the roadway network up there. Those, I think, would be good to have available as discussion ideas. Not that, you know, this is not set in stone, but this is the kind of thing we would try and think about when we were doing it. And the other part of it was whether there were, other than roadway infrastructure, things we wanted to think about. Now, certainly in the North Park area, we talked about making sure that we did a sewer when we built the new road from the northwest down into the main area. That sewer was included in that part of the project. I don't know that we have sewer connectivity north of Arlington Road that can really be used. I'm certain it would take a lift station to get it to the plant that's on Hunter Valley there. But there is also a sewer line that the city has, which runs underneath the interstate and services the Westbury area. We would like to know a little more about that too. I know the city is reluctant to add things on, but push comes to shove, they may be willing to take some more stuff. Their problem is that if they don't distribute the water, they don't want the sewer. That's been the big problem, because they have no way of measuring it. And it is a nightmare, I'll tell you that, from having to deal with it. But I think the graphic visuals would be good, and probably on big posters if we can do it. People seem to be able to interact with them a little bit better than if we've just got them displayed on a monitor. And it gives a chance for us to write things down on it too that they may have questions about. Okay.
Or they may know about things there that we'd want to explore.
Yeah. Anything from you, Randy?
As we're looking at this residential TIF area, the more information we give to the people that's gonna be affected is the primary reason that we need to be upfront and let everybody know, because they'll be the ones that get impacted based on this. And our overall goal from a redevelopment standpoint is to take this area, provide the infrastructure and the roadmap in order to keep affordability is what our goal is. Is that a correct statement amongst the group as a whole?
Yep.
Affordable housing
Yep.
for our workforce,
Right.
close to where, you know, we all reside and work.
Yep.
With that, as we put this plan together, Richard, and with the pictorials and the infrastructure roadmaps that are guidelines,
Right.
that'll be will be guided in a conversation with the individuals that it will
Maps
affect.
would be very helpful, from my point of view anyway.
And when we look at that, and we're having these conversations with our community as a whole, is there a way from what we're seeing from a fiscal standpoint to identify timelines based on the dollar amounts that will be available? Because while just similar to the other projects we have, because of these aspects of what the overall costs are, where we could be able to, as we have that conversation, to be upfront in regards to, this may not happen for 10 years, but this is the planning portion that we're looking forward. I don't know if that's things we need to kind of look at from a long-term fiscal aspect from FSG group, or how we would interact that. So, because our ideas, the ideas are great, 10 years or 20 years ago now, Richard, if I'm correct me on my time frame on North Park, we didn't envision a stone park
Right.
at that particular time.
Right.
And now we've been able to shift some of that to make it where we have a centerpiece of a park and also part of this community. I'm just trying to identify, as we have our community conversation, how we can say, this is the plan. It may take us 15 years to get all of the infrastructure as it develops out, but here's what we're looking. Give us your input so we can move it forward.
Well, and I think there's also a conversation to be had about, and I think maybe with developers as to how quickly it can be developed. We're talking, the area we've mapped out is a pretty large area. And I think, you may, at the end of the day, it may make more sense to do TIF A here and say, hey, we're talking to you because our long-term plan is to get this whole area into it. But it may be in stages that way as well.
Because each one of these costs that we identify that it takes to put in the continuity of health with sewers, with adequate water, and the roadways and such, have an expense. And when we have to look at our budgetary standpoint, from a governmental standpoint, how to help buy down this infrastructure so that we don't end up with an overall lot cost that creates a financial hardship based on building the house.
And I think the increment is also important, right? Because
That'll make
the revenue doesn't come in until the building's built.
Right.
So that is.
Right.
That's the timeframes we need to be cognizant of.
Severe chicken and egg problem.
And, yeah, and that's where our TIFs, as Richard pointed, instead of consolidated, we each individually put it out. That money will go back. It's just how we help a developer to develop that, to make sure that we keep the affordability where it needs to be.
Well, one of the things we're gonna need to do also is to make sure that there are developers willing to invest in the kind of housing that we would like to see built. If they're not gonna build it, all the infrastructure in the world isn't gonna help.
Right.
And right now, all the money that's going into housing is going into high-density apartments in Bloomington. One where the investments are being made.
Yep.
And I'm not seeing that let up at all here. One would think that at some point you saturate the market, but I've thought
Yeah.
that for 20 years and it hasn't
I was-
happened yet.
I was on South Walnut, and the development that's going to take place across some of the solid waste districts is just beyond belief. I mean, I couldn't even find the dog pound where, not the dog pound, but the dog place that they take care of the dogs for them. And it's just, it's kind of immense, kind of in your face.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized that had gone in there, and when I went by there for some other reason.
And I will say, as we move forward this and we identify our areas, we identify our costs, we also need to be working with planning
Right,
to
absolutely.
order to identify and have it ready through our governmental entities so that we don't have long time delays to be able to actually get people in the residences.
Right.
Because that's critical. As our workforce needs to be here in town, we have jobs growing up, we know we've got a housing issue.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think this group is part of the first start to remedy that problem with these ideas. So that would be, I'll be quiet from there. I can go on. Appreciate it.
Okay. I have no further comments. Anybody think, anything left over? Jim, do you have any comments?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for joining us.
all right. I think we are then done. Any last minute?
That
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Jim.